Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I want to talk to y'all about my April TBR. There are 10 books that I'm putting on my to be read for April. I typically read about 7 books a month, maybe 6, 7, or 8. We'll just say 7, but I wanted to add 10 books to my TBR and talk to y'all about them and then get into the month and see what I actually read. I'm gonna look down at it, but of the 10 books, 2 of them are romance books, 2 of them are thrillers, 1 is a literary fiction, 1 is a classic, 2 of them are fantasy books, 1 is a science fiction, and 1 is a women's fiction. Now, of those genres of the 10 books, 2 of them are also YA or young adult, and then 2 of them are also from BIPOC authors. So let's just get into it. The first book that I have on this April TBR is called The Love Code. It is by Susanna Nix. I have never read anything from her. This book was republished. So it came out originally in 2017 under a different name. It was called Remedial Rocket Science. And then there's 6 of them total that are in the series. It's called the Chemistry Lesson Series. But then Susanna Nix republished all of them. So this one just came back out in March of 2024 under a new name, The Love Code. But it seems to be a feminist rom-com, and there are 5 more to follow after this one. They all seem to be interconnected standalones following different couples. And on this one it says opposites attract, it's not rocket science. So this one seems to be more of a new adult rom-com. They are fresh out of college. So Melody meets Jeremy in college at the beginning. They have a one-night stand, and then she never talks to him again, never hears from him again. So a couple years go by, she's graduated college. She has interviewed at her dream job in LA, gets the job, and when she starts working there, she runs into Jeremy. So Jeremy will be working alongside her. He's also the CEO's son. And it says on the back that he is a bad boy billionaire with a sordid reputation and a girlfriend. And Melanie's the intelligent geek girl, is how it worded it. But they seem to have these looming feelings for each other. There's forced proximity because they work together. And then, it's the bad boy, geeky girl trope, also CEO's son trope. So a lot going on. They can't seem to stay away from each other. And it even says, can the woman who always plays it safe take a risk on the man who's so wrong for her, but in all the right ways? So this is my first book on my April TBR, and I'm so excited to get into this one. The second book that I have on my April TBR is free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the United States. It's called The Perfect Son by Frida McFadden. This is on her backlist. This actually came out in October of 2019, so a little while ago. It's just under 400 pages. It's about 375 pages according to Amazon. So this one is about a mom and her son. So the mom's name is Erica. She gets a knock at her door at her house. She opens it and it's the police asking if they can question her 16-year-old son, Liam. Liam was dating a girl, and that girl has now gone missing. And the police are suspecting the worst. They think that this girl has been murdered. And they want to talk to Liam. Well, in Erica's mind, she's thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to think the worst about my son. However, he has a really dark and disturbed past. He absolutely could have been the one that murdered this girl, or is maybe the reason why she's missing. So the book is about what a mother will do to protect her son and how far she'll go. So I'm super excited to get into this one. I'm kind of afraid. It's listed as a psychological thriller or a domestic thriller, but I can't wait to get into it. The third book on my April TBR is my literary fiction pick. This is called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. Britt is a BIPOC author. This book came out in June of 2020, so it's been out for a while. I just picked it up at a bookstore because I've been meaning to read it and meaning to get to it. So this one is about Stella and Desiree. They are 2 identical twins that have grown up in a small southern Black community in Louisiana. And one day they watched their dad get dragged off their porch and lynched by a group of white men. So at the age of 16, Stella and Desiree run away. And then I guess the book follows the next 14 years of their lives. I've pulled some of the synopsis from Amazon reviews because it was really vague on the back. But I guess we're following the next 14 years of their lives and how they're living separately. So one of the twins, she's living as a Black woman. She has a Black daughter. She moves them both back to that small community to take care of her mom. The other twin, we don't know where she is, but she is living as a white woman with her white husband and her white daughter. Well, then at some point, I guess the girls are about 30 years old now because it's been 14 years. Their lives are going to intersect because their daughters are going to meet. So it seems to be just a tale of gender identity and racism. And I can't wait to get into this. It's described as a fascinating story of family and love. And it asks the question, what would you give up to get the life that you deserve? The fourth book in my April TBR is The Haunting of Bryn Wilder by Wendy Webb. I've never read anything from this author. This is free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the United States. It's just under 300 pages, so pretty short. The synopsis is weird. So I'm categorizing it as how did I write it down? A paranormal gothic romance. But I know on Amazon, some people are calling it a ghost thriller or a paranormal ghost romance. So call it what you'd like. It seems to be about a girl named Bryn. She has run away. She's escaping. She ends up in a town, I guess, off of Lake Superior. And she checks into a boarding house for the summer. And in that boarding house, there's a couple of characters. So one is the owner. I guess she's like eccentric and eclectic or something. And then there's a frail woman named Alice. Alice is being cared for by some young married couple. And then there's a guy named Dominic. So with Alice, she seems to know things about Bryn that no one should know. But Alice, apparently, she seems to know a lot about everybody that's there. And it begs the question, why? How do you know this about me? And then with Dominic, I guess he's handsome. He's covered from head to toe in tattoos. And I guess Bryn and him are going to develop some sort of romance. Well, at this boarding house, at the end of the hallway, there's a room that's been closed off. It's completely shuttered up. And I guess a death took place there. And the thing with Dominic is death seems to follow him everywhere that he goes. So Bryn's trying to figure out who this Alice character is and how she knows all these things about her and about everybody else, while also falling for Dominic, who could be the reason that death took place in that room, and just in general, death following him. And it's also just about Bryn trying to get a new perspective on life and just figure it out. So I don't know. We'll just see how this goes. The next book on my April TBR, book number 5, is a classic. This is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This book came out almost 100 years ago. It was published in 1925. I did see the movie that came out in 2013 with Leonardo DiCaprio, but I couldn't tell you anything that happened in that movie. So I'm definitely reading the book for the first time, but it's almost as if I never saw the retelling either. So this seems to be about a man named Nick who moves into a cottage that is next door to a man named Jay Gatsby's house who throws parties all the time. So Nick gets an invite to Gatsby's party. He goes and they, I guess, strike up a friendship. And Nick starts to learn about Gatsby's shady past. He also starts to learn that Gatsby has this infatuation with a married woman named Daisy. And it says that there are events that are going to spiral into tragedy. So maybe this is not going to be like a romance book or have a happily ever after. I'm definitely not classifying this as a romance. It is a classic, but it takes place in Long Island, New York. It's set during the Jazz Age, and it just says that it's a chronicle of the excesses and decadence of the Jazz Age, as well as the timeless cautionary critique of the American dream. So I can't wait to get into this one, and I definitely plan on vlogging this one. Book number 6 is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm so excited to get into this. I do not own any of the copies. I read all 5 books of ACOTAR on my Kindle, and then in this series, the Throne of Glass series, there's 8 books. I read the first one, The Assassin's Blade, on my Kindle, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass on my Kindle. So these are all anywhere from like $7 to $10. They're not that much. They're kind of expensive to buy though, but I just love all of these series so much because there's a third series, Crescent City. Can't wait to read that either. But eventually, when I'm done with all of them, I want to own the special editions. And so right now, I'm just buying the cheaper versions on Kindle. So this came out in 2012. This is an older series. And this one it's the follow up from The Assassin's Blade because that ended on a cliffhanger, and this book picks up right where that left off. So Selena is in slavery and she's been summoned to the castle, and the king, he wants to talk to her, but she wants to talk to him. She's there to reclaim her freedom. And so he puts her into a competition. He says, look, I've got 23 murderers and thieves. If you can defeat all 23 of them, I will give you back your freedom. Well, the thing is, a lot of those murderers and thieves start being killed off one by one. So there's something more sinister going on in that castle. So even though she's in a competition to like restake her freedom or reclaim her freedom, it becomes a tale of survival. And it says that there's a prince there that's there to provoke her. There's a guard that's there to protect her. And then it says there's a princess from a faraway country that's there to befriend her. So I don't know. I just cannot wait to get into this. I don't want to read too much about the synopsis because it's a whole series and I already read The Assassin's Blade. So I'm just excited to jump into this one and see the continuation. What happens next with Miss Selena Sardathian. Also, that last book that I was just holding up, Throne of Glass, this is considered a fantasy book. I know I didn't say that. So book number 7 on my April TBR is considered a young adult science fiction. So this is The Colliding Worlds of Mina Lee, and it's by Ellen O, who's also a BIPOC author. So this book just came out this year, and I cannot wait. She, I guess, gets trapped into her own webcomic. So it says, when Mina Lee woke up on Saturday morning for SAT prep, she did not expect to, number 1, nearly be fried by a superhero who turned out to be a supervillain. Number 2, she did not expect to come face to face with the handsome boy of her dreams. And number 3, she did not expect to discover a conspiracy involving an evil corporation that she made up. It says it's all happening in her fictional webcomic world. Mina is trapped in the story that she created, and now it's up to her to save everyone, even if it means losing the handsome boy of her dreams forever. This is typically not a book that I would read, but my husband found it at the bookstore, and I'm so into it. Book number 8 on my April TBR is the 4th Harry Potter book. This is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. So this came out in 2015. I'm slowly catching up. I never read any of the Harry Potter books. I never saw any of the movies. I have now read the first, second, and third book. After each book, I watched the movie. My husband, he's read all the books multiple times and watched all the movies multiple times. So every time I'm done reading one of the books, he and I watch the movie together. And it's just a sweet little bonding moment with my husband because he just loves it. And he's always asking, when are you going to read the next book? So in April, I'm going to read the 4th book so that we can watch the 4th movie. This one seems to be pretty short. I think it's about 300 pages. According to Amazon, it said 301. So we'll see. But I guess it's about a Tri-Wizard tournament. Not sure what that means. It takes place at Hogwarts, which is the school that Harry Potter goes to. You have to be 17 years old to enter the competition. Harry's 14, but he doesn't care. He's just daydreaming a lot about winning this tournament that he can't be in for a few more years. Well, I guess there's a magic cup called the Goblet of Fire, and out comes Harry's name when they're deciding who's going to be in the competition. So Harry gets selected, and I guess it says he's got death-defying tasks. He's got to go up against dragons. He has to go up against dark wizards. So we'll see what happens. It says with the help of his friends, Ron and Hermione, he might be able to make it out alive. I love Ron and Hermione. And okay, again, I don't know much about the Harry Potter world. I do know some spoilers towards the end of like the last couple of books, but I think, isn't book 4 when Ron and Hermione start to get some tension with being together? I don't know if they get together in book 4, but I think this is the start of them getting together, and I'm just excited about that little side subplot of romance as I am about the entire Harry Potter book and finding out what happens with Harry at this tournament. But this is the 8th book that I have on my April TBR. I for sure will be reading this in April. Remember, I said I only read about 7 books a month, and I'm putting 10 on this TBR. This one for sure I'm going to read in April. The 9th book on my April TBR is women's fiction with a side of romance. I'm classifying it as women's fiction, but there is a little bit of romance in here. It's called Love Me by Jessica Saunders. I've never read from this author before, but it seems to be about a woman named Rachel. So Rachel is a lawyer and a mother of 2 who's just as comfortable in the courtroom as she is on the sidelines of the soccer field. Sure, her marriage is on autopilot, but if you ask Rachel, life is good. So she's just going through her day-to-day life until racy photos and love letters get published in the tabloid that were between Rachel and her ex-boyfriend, who's now a mega superstar actor. His name is Jack Bellow, and this all happens. It thrusts Rachel into the spotlight. She gets reunited with Jack, and so they're trying to figure out who betrayed them, who published these photos and these love letters, but then it also starts making Rachel question the life that she's living right now, and it makes her question her marriage too. And it says, how did I get here and what do I really want? So I think this is more of just a women's fiction with a side of romance. I'm not really sure if there's going to be a divorce. I don't know if there's going to be any infidelity. It just seems to be following Rachel's life, and there will be some Jack Bellow content in here along with her being married. So let's just see. This just released in January of 2024. The 10th and last book on my April TBR is a thriller. This is called Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. I've never read from this author before. This book came out in August of 2023, and it is about, I think it's about 2 characters, but there's a secret third character. So the first one is Olivia. She's 22 years old with no history of running away, but she was last seen on CCTV entering a dead-end alley and not coming back out again. She's been missing for 1 day and counting. And then you have Julia, the detective heading up the case. She knows what to expect: a desperate family, a ticking clock, and long hours away from her daughter and husband. But Julia has no idea how close this case is going to get, or how close to home this case is going to get, because her family's safety depends on one thing. So this is the weird part where it comes in. There is a guy. It says, there's a man out there. His weapon isn't a gun or a knife. It's a secret. This guy has a secret on Julia that no one can ever find out. And so this guy needs Julia to not solve the case for Olivia. She's not allowed to find Olivia. She can't find out what happened to Olivia. She just needs to let everyone think that Olivia was murdered, and then she needs to frame someone for that murder. What? So I don't know. Let's just see what happens. It says that Gillian McAllister, I guess she's the master of creating ethical dilemmas. So here we go. All right, so these are the 10 books that I have on my April TBR. I'm hoping to read at least 7 of them, maybe 8. My goal is 8 this month, but you know, life just gets in the way sometimes. But we've got these 10 from just a multitude of genres and from a couple of BIPOC authors. And I do plan on creating some reading vlogs for some of these. So thank y'all so much for being here today, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.